My guest today is Chris Franck, CEO of Bloomhill Cancer Care. Chris, how can people plug in and be part of the Bloomhill community?
Robin, give us a call, walk in, come and visit us at the Bloomhill Centre. We've got 10 acres in the rainforest within Budrum. Come and have a cup of coffee on the deck, come and have a light lunch. In any form that you feel, go and visit one of our 12 op shops or all the op shops, and just reach out and be there, be part of the solution, be there for Bloomhill so that we can be there for you and your loved ones at the time when you need it most.
We have had a fabulous conversation. I know you'll love it. I'm Robin Cook. This is Stories from the Red Couch. Chris, can you tell me what is so important about Bloomhill to the Sunshine Coast community? Why do we need Bloomhill?
Robin, it's multifaceted. Bloomhill Cancer Care provides treatment for people who live with cancer on the Sunshine Coast, regardless of age, regardless of creed, regardless of gender. We currently have 1,200 clients that we provide the service to. So that's a very important role. I believe we're the only service on the Sunshine Coast that provide that service, help our clients to be treatment compliant when they need to go to the hospital for their hideous treatment that they need to undergo. That's where we provide that psychosocial support and underpinning and help them and hold them through that period.
So what sort of examples have you got around that? I mean, are you picking them up in a bus and taking them there? Are you providing tea and coffee? Or
yeah, Robin, we've got a nurse-led model, so nurses form the core of our service. So whenever a person is diagnosed with cancer, they get referred, either they self-refer, they can walk through the door, referred by oncologist or their GP. A nurse would pick them up, and they would come in, they would provide them with a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and they do a full assessment of where they're at, what is happening, what their needs are, and their full treatment planned over a 4-year period, that we plan that out for them.
Wow.
That gets registered, and we've got a transport service, for instance, that go to their homes and pick them up if they can't drive, get there themselves. Transport to go and pick them up at home, take them to hospital, wait for the 6 hours while they get their treatment, take them home. On their way home, realize that this is a single mother with kids. They're difficult, hard to cook a meal tonight.
Awful.
Go to the centre, pick up a few cooked meals that were prepared by our volunteers, take it home, help them have a meal for the evening, and so that's that wraparound service.
Wow, that's incredible. So you're providing care not only to the person with cancer, but to the family.
To the family, their carers, children, because you have to understand, for a child, when they hear the news that mom or dad has been diagnosed with cancer, in their minds, it's the end of the road and what's going to happen, that not knowing the future. So as to hold that as well. We provide clinical psychology services, we've got counselling services that we provide to the broader, everything and everybody involved with that client, and we provide the service.
And so anyone can go in. Anyone, you've got a cancer diagnosis, your world is really just crashed down around you.
Absolutely. It's
financially as well as emotionally, because it's massively expensive, isn't it?
Absolutely. We know financial toxicity is the word that we use, is so part of their lives for the whole period that they live with cancer. And so we try to make that as easy as possible. We can't provide all services free of charge, but we do highly subsidized and some fully subsidized services.
Wow, that's amazing.
To them, from oncology massages to various types of touch therapies that we provide, groups that we provide, art therapies, gardening services. We last year arranged with Siena High School. We had a client that was just so down and out. His house was starting to run down. The garden was in shambles. So we had a group of I think 45 school kids and our volunteers go in, cleaned up his garden, sorted all for him.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's astonishing,
and that's
Chris.
all provided by the community.
Yeah.
The volunteers that we have provide that is just amazing.
Yes. And so in doing something like that, you're really picking the whole person up, aren't you? carrying the whole person.
We go in the holding mode. We refer to them as we hold them for the whole period that they're there. Probably a good 4 years as part of our system. It's really to hold them and take care of them, help them, take them to hospital, take them to Brisbane. We've got a daily trip to Brisbane where a vehicle takes people to Brisbane for various types of therapies that is not available on the Sunshine Coast.
And that's all voluntary work too.
It's all voluntary work. Yes.
That really is mind-blowing, because volunteers are so thin on the ground sometimes, and yet when you have volunteers in place, which is a complex thing in itself. I mean, you're not just working with people with cancer, you're a volunteer service managing. How many volunteers would you have?
More than 450 at this point in time.
I mean, that really is incredible.
That's fantastic.
The level of management that you have to go through just on a day-to-day basis, but also you're also managing them emotionally too, aren't you?
Absolutely, but they also manage us. Volunteers are just the most wonderful. We refer to it as our army of volunteers.
Yes.
Because the 450 volunteers goes across the spectrum of various services that they provide free of charge. They're there. They're always there.
And they must have an incredible bond together. To be a volunteer in an organisation like Bloomhill must be massively fulfilling.
Absolutely. The feedback that we get from specifically our volunteers, if they have to drive to Brisbane for that hour and a half, it is sacred time that they have in a vehicle.
Yes.
If they can engage with the client, provide that support and positive and ongoing energy that they provide to the client, and then on their way back, it is almost a proper counselling service that are provided.
And it is a privilege, isn't it? I mean, on some level, it's a privilege to be in a support role for someone who is suffering.
That's why they're there. That's what they say. If you ask them, so why do you do that? Why do you give us 4 days of your life per week in providing various? They say, because it's a privilege, because I can give back to the community.
That's
and so many of
beautiful.
them have been touched by cancer themselves.
Yes. Seriously, who hasn't been? Who in our community hasn't known someone with cancer?
If you look at the Sunshine Coast data, 1 in every 2.4 people will be touched by cancer before the age of 80. So whenever you stand in the queue or go anywhere, and you just look around you, 1 in every 2.4, 1 in every 3 people will be touched by cancer. It's just all over.
So what do you do for your volunteers? How do you, as Bloomhill, how do you support your volunteers? Because it's really quite a large task that they're undertaking, and I understand that there's diversity there. How do you support them?
That's a good question. I think they support us more than what we support them.
Yeah.
Because they're self-sufficient. They just get on with business. They're there. When you contact them and say, we need somebody to do this for us, yes, I'm there. There's very limited support that we provide. They just get on with business.
So that's really... in my mind, I'm now seeing this incredible foundation of people standing together to provide this.
Robin, and all you need to do is just spend 10 minutes in the presence of one of our volunteers. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. The people they are and what they do without blinking an eye. And some of the work we expect them to do is hard.
Yes.
It's really hard, Yaka. If you go to Bloomhill and you look at our gardens, all our gardens on that 10-acre rainforest is maintained by volunteers.
So that's where you are, aren't you? You're in Budrum, just down the hill a little bit.
Yeah, just down the hill on Ballinger Road.
And 10 acres.
10 acres.
How beautiful.
It's fantastic. Imagine having an office in the rainforest in Budrum. It's paradise.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic.
I can understand
So we've got a beautiful centre. That's the wellness centre where we provide. Then, of course, we've got the 12 op shops across the Sunshine Coast.
I know, and I think that we're all, I mean, who hasn't been into a Bloomhill op shop? Seriously. They're fabulous.
Absolutely.
And I've had interactions with your volunteers in that kind of space, and the things that I've bought are very lovely. In coming into the 10 acres, what other facilities do you have in there? Because I haven't been onto that site.
Yeah, at the facilities we've got obviously limited parking. That's always a challenge for us, is to have enough parking for everybody. But we've got 5 therapy rooms where they provide all the touch therapies. We've got 2 multi-purpose rooms that can be used for whatever. People can use it. They use it for weddings. They use it for...
Really?
Yeah. They
How
use
nice
it
is
for,
that?
Use it for memorial services for people. Just groups. We've got art groups that use the space. We've got a deck on the side with a cafe. So from 8 until 2 every day, we've got a lovely cafe. Baristas that makes the most beautiful coffee.
Nice.
And it's open to the public. Anybody can walk in and purchase a beautiful coffee, a slice and healthy meals.
Okay, so in doing that, so the public can come into the site and come to the coffee shop.
Yeah, we've got, some days we've got 100 people sitting in there.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's in the rainforest like this. We have a cup of coffee. And it's very serene and peaceful and quiet for the clients who can just come to a space where they can just be.
Yeah, because fundraising is a thing for you. I mean, you've just outlined some of the services that you provide, and you've said that some are heavily subsidised and some are free. That money has to come from somewhere.
Absolutely.
And so when you are interacting with the public, someone like me, for instance, and I make choices around how I spend my money, because we all have to do that. It doesn't matter who you are. You're making choices around where you spend your money. Mm-hmm. So for me to spend my money with Bloomhill, I can do that through the op shops, and I can do that through the cafe.
The cafe, you can donate. Because in the end, the op shops is pre-loved articles, pre-loved merchandise. So whenever you clean out your house, whenever anything that you don't want, bring it in. Take it to an op shop. If it's a furniture, give us a call. We come and pick it up so that we can on-sell it. And by doing that, we also do a favour to the community, because we take stuff out of the rubbish tip and recycle them. And,
absolutely.
So that's... but mostly it's supporting the op shops that we have purchase. We really work hard at have a high quality. We don't sell stuff that none of our op shop staff will wear, or will have in their homes.
I think there's a new little saying that if you wouldn't give it to your mate, don't donate. That is so true. I know.
Because there is that element of people using us as a
dumping ground,
tip service,
which must
unfortunately happens.
Massively impact on the volunteers' time and energies.
Yeah, because the op shops and our distribution centre are 95% staffed by volunteers, again, and they have to sort through all the stuff that's
right.
donated.
So we want
some little bit of respect and
compassionate
donations of something of quality would be important, but really help us bring stuff in. We need because there's a huge market on the Sunshine Coast for second-hand clothes and items, so there's always a challenge to get enough donations.
For sure. I have been doing a little bit of background reading because, I haven't ever met you, and I love the idea of Bloomhill, and like many people, cancer has touched my life too. And what I've discovered is that all of your work to date is in supporting and helping people living right on the edge, at risk, in dreadful situations, in appalling health outcomes, all of those things. And what I'm getting a sense of is in all of those positions that you've had must give you incredible compassion and depth of understanding of the human condition.
Absolutely. Robin, if I look back at my careers that I had, every year, every experience built onto the next one. And experiences that I have today in my work, I go back and say, that's where it started. I can make those links. And to be in a helping relationship, what better job is there in this world to be able to help people, help guide them along, provide a service that just lift them up 2 inches where they were before they got in touch with you. What a privilege. It's to me, that's fantastic.
So how do you feel when you go home at night after a day at Bloomhill?
Energized. I've got a little box under my computer screen, and what I do before I go home, the challenges of the day that really make my day difficult, I put them in there and I close it and I go home so that I can use the time at home being in a healthy space.
Yes.
So I try not to take
That's
work
a
home.
beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
So do you actually physically write them down?
I sometimes write them down. Otherwise, it's just a mental thing.
Okay,
You just put them in there, you close the box,
the lid,
and you turn off your computer and you go home.
I think that's a good self-care.
Yeah, and so in the morning when you wake up, you don't wake up with the baggage of the previous day. You wake up refreshed. You can say, this is what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to support that, do that kind of service. And off you go.
I think that's a fabulous tool for people who are suffering other, like health ailments too. If you can have a time in the day where you park everything.
Yeah. From a mental well-being perspective, you have to, what we refer to as compartmentalize.
Yes.
Take some challenges that you have and just park them somewhere to create you a little bit of a space for yourself to just be and take in life and get energy to tackle the next wave.
Yes.
Yeah, and probably my psychology background, I was trained as a psychologist, probably led into that and provide me with a lot of insight in how to lead quite a complex work environment.
And it is complex, isn't it?
It's very complex.
Yes. You were telling me before your 3 titles. What are your 3 titles?
Yes, I've got 3 titles.
Yes.
CEO is the Chief Executive Officer. That's the boring part. And then I've got the Chief Excitement Officer, and I find myself mostly, whenever I'm with volunteers, we're excited, and I find myself, and we do fundraising, and you do really funny things, dressing up in pink and cross-dressing and do the funniest things, all's part of the fun. And the third one is the Chief Begging Officer, because we are a charity.
Yes.
We, up to now, have not received for the past 21 years any government funding.
Yes.
We self-funded, 100% self-funded.
Wow.
So, and that takes some energy.
It really does.
And so sometimes you go into begging mode.
Yes.
You have to be comfortable with that.
That's right. And so where is Bloomhill now with that? Because there's been quite a push in recent months.
Yeah. The reality is we're a cash organisation. We don't have any debt. So the dollar comes in, the dollar goes out. If every dollar that goes out, you need a dollar that comes in. And so from a cash flow perspective, every now and then you go into a very nervous period and say, is there sufficient? And you start calling the op shop managers, can you sell a bit more to get more money in? But where we are, it's very appropriate for us to have this conversation, because just today I have received the contract from the Commonwealth Government for a grant of $850,000 over the next 4 years that they're funding our nursing service.
Chris, that is such good news.
It is absolutely, absolutely fantastic. And last week, Monday, I received the contract from Hand Heart Pocket, who is giving us $700,000 to do physical bricks and mortar expansion. We're going to build 40 new extra car parks. We're going to build a really big shed to move our distribution centre from Kunda Park to the centre itself. We're going to build 4 therapy rooms. We're going to build the gym, because we know exercise and activity is so important in people's health.
It is.
So we're going to have a real proper medical oncology orientated gym where we can run groups, and we've got a exercise physiologist. So we're going to build all of that, and then hopefully we will get more funding in November.
Yes.
Where we're going to build the multi-purpose room, 2 multi-purpose rooms. We're going to build a larger gym, a hydrotherapy pool.
Wow.
We can expand our kitchen to be able to do pop-up restaurants. So, and on the 1st of June, we start our first market.
Yes.
Because we for the past 5 or 6 years, we've had the management rights of the Cotton Tree Market.
Cotton Tree Markets, which is a fabulous market.
It's a fabulous
I love
market.
the Cotton Tree Markets.
So on the 1st of June, we start an artisan market on site at Bloomhill in Buderim, which is an organic fresh produce market.
How wonderful.
So all the people of the Sunshine Coast, Buderim, come buy your fresh stuff. There will be little pop-up restaurants, coffee shops, and entertainment for kids. And
because that's the other important part is you said that Bloomhill has been self-funded for all of this time, and this injection of funding will lift your capabilities to take you to the next level of being self-sufficient again.
Absolutely, yeah.
In a much more innovative way. I'm just so excited for you to do that. It's the lift you need, isn't
absolutely. And that's where Hand Out Pocket, their perspective is what they're giving us is a hand up, not a handout.
Absolutely.
So we're going to use that money to develop infrastructure to be able to further self-generate income. So it's not a matter of give. You say, help us so that we can expand, we can become more self-sustaining.
Which gives us, the public, another opportunity to interact with Bloomhill, because really one of your key messages is for us, the community, to be here for Bloomhill.
Absolutely,
because Bloomhill are here for us.
Yeah, and specifically in the month of June, you'll hear and see a lot of Bloomhill. We'll be taking over the Sunshine Coast.
That's wonderful.
In June, and we ask the community to be part of the solution. Be there for Bloomhill so that we can be there for you and your loved ones and when you need us. So come and help us. Come become part of the family. We refer to ourselves as a family. Become part of the family and contribute in whatever way. It doesn't have to be financial.
That's
it can be in any form. Just be there. Be part of the solution for us.
Yeah, because we are a community.
We are a community.
And this is how we help one another. And just that little story of and that image of a parent coming home after a day in Brisbane, coming home to a house of kids and chaos and washing and everything that comes into family life, and having a meal there that's ready, that's been prepared by, lovingly, I'm imagining.
Yeah, by the volunteers.
By the volunteers. To be able to come home after a day like that and have a meal is really very special.
Yeah.
Because I know that in the early stages of a diagnosis, there's a tremendous amount of family and friend support. But life moves on.
Exactly. It tapers off.
It does.
And it's very lonely. It is a very lonely illness because you carry it by yourself. You can't always tell everybody how I feel. People live that. It's just that lifestyle they live. And to get that support.
And so coming to Bloomhill is where you can completely be yourself.
Absolutely.
And share exactly how you're feeling.
And that's the feedback that we get from clients when you drive in from Ballinger Road through into this rainforest. You just feel that absolute calmness, and they can go, somebody's there to invite them in, to hold them, take them onto the deck. For people who've lost their hair, they can take off their bandana, because there's a lot of others exactly the same situation.
That's right.
They can link up, they can build networks, they get that support from others to spend the time and just be there for the day. Because what we try to do is block the day. They get all their various therapies, so they come in and basically spend the day before they go home with us.
What sort of legacy do you want to leave Bloomhill in? I mean, you've only just arrived. You're still pretty new.
I'm still the new kid on the block.
You are. And getting your head around everything. But, I've got this sense that you have pulled together your ideas and a fabulous team. Where do you want to take Bloomhill?
Well, we want to make sure Bloomhill is there for the next 21 years. And my personal vision and what all the staff members are working towards is to generate sufficient income to the point where we can provide all our services free of charge for people who struggle financially and emotionally, to provide everything for them. They don't have to worry about another bill, another thing they have to pay. And just build Bloomhill to cement it as part of the fabric of the Sunshine Coast Society.
That's fabulous. Thank you so much for joining me, Chris.
Thank you for the privilege of being here. It's great.
It was wonderful to talk to you.
And hope the community will continue to support us, and because we are a community organisation created by the community for the community. And we have to stay true to our mission there.
You do. And I have the tremendous sense that the community loves Bloomhill.
They do, and we do love the community.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
My guest today was Chris Franck, CEO of Bloomhill. You can find all sorts of ways of connecting with Bloomhill. What's probably the easiest, Chris?
Oh, they can visit us, come and have a cup of coffee on the deck. They go onto our website, www.bloomhill.com.au, pick up the phone, give us a call. We are in the phone book. So wherever you search and type in Bloomhill, it will come up and make contact with us.
And keep your eyes open for the whole month of June.
The whole month of June.
Because Bloomhill will be everywhere across the Sunshine Coast.
Absolutely.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Getting